Sean Payton and the Broncos just made a very bold decision and a strategic move. They have allowed the NFL to break the own rules of the CBA and let Denver play 2 road Thursday night football games as the NFL has flexed the Browns at Bengals Week 16 Thursday night game out for Broncos at Chargers. This is the first time we have seen a Thursday night game get flex since the NFL opened up flexing options for Monday night and Thursday night and pretty much every night of the week. But now we've got the Broncos playing on Thursday night in a decision that Denver could have vetoed. They could have said no. The CBA says no team has to play twice on the road on Thursday night. So why did Sean Payton let the NFL break their own rule and have the Broncos play on Thursday night? It's a bold move, but we're going to explain, I think, the rationale and the thinking behind this decision. Let's just look at what the original schedule was when we went to bed last night. And that was the Broncos would have the Raiders on the road this Sunday. They'd come home and play the Browns on Monday night, then their bye week, and then they'd have the Colts at home on a regular Sunday afternoon, and then Week 16 on a Sunday afternoon play in LA. Here's what the new schedule is. The only change is the Chargers game got moved to Thursday night. So now instead of going from Indy at home to LA on the road, you've got a 4-day turnaround. So why did the Broncos sign up for a 4-day turnaround before playing a pivotal game against the Chargers? Why did the Broncos agree to this? Because I think the Broncos might be thinking about the next game and not so much about the Chargers game. And that's definitely a bold decision. But now this Broncos at Bengals game in Week 17 just got a little bit better for Denver because they go into this matchup with a little bit extra rest compared to Cincinnati because they're playing on the Thursday before this week. Plus, this game might get played on Saturday. It's one of the flex games. So it could be a Saturday, it could be a Sunday, but this looks like it could be a pretty big Saturday game since one of these two teams, and maybe both these teams, are going to have some major playoff implications at that point. So now look at this for the Bengals. They're going to have the Broncos come to town on Saturday. They will have played at home on Sunday because that Week 16 game just got flexed out of Thursday night. So the Bengals go from home game on Sunday to home game on Saturday. So less than a week turnaround, whereas Denver goes from Thursday night Week 16 to Saturday Week 17. So the Bengals are already on a little bit of a short week going from Sunday to Saturday, but the Broncos come in going from Thursday to Saturday. So they've got a major rest advantage compared to Cincinnati, and maybe Sean Payton is looking at the schedule going, we're not catching the Chargers, although that seems a little premature. They're not that far ahead of Denver. But, hey, if both teams when we play in Week 16 against the Chargers and the Broncos are on the same day of rest advantage, which is zilch because both teams play on Sunday, we can get an extra couple of days of rest over the Bengals, 3 extra days to be exact. And so it's all even for the Chargers game in terms of days of rest, but we get a 3-day rest advantage against the Bengals the next week. So that's the pro to this. The con is, if you feel like you don't play your best football on a short week, well, you just agreed to a short week against a pivotal AFC West showdown in LA against the Chargers. So there's pros and cons to this. I think overall it's a good move for the Broncos. It gives them a major leg up before a big Week 17 road game in Cincinnati. And they don't gain or lose anything by playing the Chargers on Thursday night. But maybe they lose not being the best version of themselves because if they were to pick up some injuries against the Colts, it's less turnaround. Although, think about it this way as well. The Broncos have their bye 2 weeks before that Chargers game. The Chargers' bye was Week 5. So Denver's going to be going into that Chargers game, sure, on a short week, but they will have had their bye just 10-ish days beforehand. The Chargers, they have been going pedal to the metal since Week 5 with a very, very early bye, early October. So overall, I think this actually benefits Denver. And sure, it's 2 road Thursday night games. That's not ideal, but they may come out the wisest of this. So I like this move for Sean Payton. I think this is a classic chess instead of checkers moment, and the Broncos have an advantage over the Bengals. And with that late bye, which isn't really nice at all, it may prove to be crucial in that short week on the road against the Chargers. Now, before we look at the rest of today's episode, which is an ESPN mock draft, I do want to remind you guys to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We are less than 200 subscribers away from reaching 28,000 subscribers. So if you're looking for a go-to Broncos YouTube channel that'll keep you informed all year long, I invite you to subscribe to the channel today. I also want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Let me give you an example of what the selections look like. All you do, like I said, is just more or less. It's that simple. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So ESPN's Matt Miller came out with his first 2025 NFL mock draft, and we don't need to really focus too much on mock drafts right now at 6-5, but I thought you guys might be curious who they had Denver select. And as things currently stand, the Broncos had the 19th overall pick in the draft, and ESPN went offensive tackle for the Broncos. It's the left tackle from Minnesota, Aireontae I practiced this all before the video. Aireontae Ersery. So 6'6", 330 pounds, 3-year starter at left tackle, and he's having a phenomenal year for the Golden Gophers, giving up just 1 sack so far and 3 penalties. He's got a lengthy career, 36 starts. He was at or has been playing for Minnesota for 5 seasons, so he's on the more developed and mature and veteran side of things when it comes to college football players. But when I look at this right here, the only thing I can think of is, what about Garret Bolles? Like, I'm not going to pretend to be a guru on Minnesota Golden Gophers offensive linemen, but I do know the Broncos have a very good left tackle right now. And sure, it's a veteran who's on the wrong side of 30 and on a contract season, but he has been playing lights out football this year. You can check out his PFF grades so far in 2024, and just overall, this his entire career. 14th out of 76. I mean, he's on pace for, what would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4. His 4th season being top 20 amongst all qualifying offensive tackles. If it were up to me, I would re-sign Garret Bolles. I think we have seen enough from him this year to believe that he can continue to play at a high level. I'm also watching like Lane Johnson, for example, the right tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles, be the #1 tackle in football this year. Guy's been in the league for like a decade. So a lot of times these offensive linemen age like a fine wine, and I don't think Bolles is about to fall off a cliff. He honestly is playing the best football of his career over the last 2 seasons since suffering that gruesome injury in Vegas in 2022. So I'm confident that he can continue to play at a high level. I'd rather just use your free agency money on him, bring him back, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep the offensive line intact, and then use that first-round draft pick on Ashton Jeanty. It's a little bit of a luxury pick. The guy's awesome. I don't think I need to sell anyone on Ashton Jeanty as a prospect, right? We can all agree he is a generational type running back, and if he played at an SEC school or a Power 4 school, he'd get way more attention, but he still gets a lot of attention despite playing at Boise State, which is not a powerhouse of college football media. But Jeanty, I think, is a luxury pick that teams that have multiple holes that need to be filled can't afford to use one on. But the Broncos, I think, are in a spot where, I mean, look at the cornerstone pieces, and that's usually what you address in round 1. Tackle, you're good at if you bring back Bolles. Corner, you're good at with Moss and Surtain. Pass rusher, you're good at. With Benito and Cooper, quarterback, you're good at. So with the underwhelming running back play from Javonte Williams and the rest of the crew this year, I can only think of two major needs for the Broncos next year if they do not bring back Garret Bolles, and that is running back and wide receiver. And there are plenty of good running backs and receivers in this draft class. But the top 1, 2, or 3 receivers will likely be gone before Denver's on the clock. And there's a chance you can get a perennial Pro Bowl running back to pair with your young quarterback, put behind a really good offensive line, and really bring the missing piece to this offense with a first-round pick. So I would go Ashton Jeanty if I were Denver. If you re-sign Garret Bolles and you're looking at the board thinking, we're looking for value right now. And we don't need a corner. We don't need a pass rusher. What we need is a spark on offense that's not just Bo Nix. Jeanty's the guy. Keep him a Bronco. So what position do you think Denver should draft first? Running backs is definitely on the less popular side of things here, but if I tell you guys he's going to be the next Derrick Henry, tell me you would not sign up for that for the 19th overall pick. And I know that's a big, order to fill and big shoes to fill, but I think he's that talented. I think he really can be that special at the next level. So I like the idea for the Broncos to go running back with Ashton Jeanty in round 1. Before we get on out of here, I just want to give a couple of shout-outs to the Blue and Orange Club. We will be live on Sunday for the Broncos-Raiders game, so hang out with us for the watch party. It's always a great way to take in a Broncos game, so make sure you put the game on your TV if it's in your area. Throw us on your phone, your tablet, or your computer, and we're going to have a great time watching this game together in what should be a Broncos win. What I think will be a Broncos win, it will be the first time Denver has swept the Raiders in 10 years.